but we'll do what we do. Okay, here we are. The easy things, the heart, which you can pull out and set aside, and then the lung. Take out one of the lung lobes, like that one.
So this is the lung, and this is the heart?
That is correct.
Okay.
Then we'll go and kind of work our way down the larynx. It's up here. That's a fancy word for the voice box, and it's one of the hyoid cartilages for those who are interested. Underneath the larynx is the thyroid gland, kind of a orangey pink color right there. And then the bluish pale color under that is the trachea that comes down here. As long as we're in the neck, the blue here is the jugular vein, and the red is the carotid artery. And then the
external or internal?
They're both internal. And then the blue here going under the clavicle would be the subclavian vein, which there's an artery there too, but the subclavian vein. And when the jugular and the subclavian join together, they form the brachiocephalic vein, and the two brachiocephalics join to form the superior vena cava, or we can just call it the vena cava. Inside the lungs are the pulmonary artery and vein. Down here is the bronchi, or bronchi. And so pulmonary artery and vein there, the bronchi branching into the lungs there. And that's pretty much it for the lungs. Down through the middle of the lungs, you see again the big red vessel, which is the aorta. And then next to it, this green and gray structure is the esophagus. So, and I think we're good. And then all of this, where the lungs and the heart is, the cavity here is called the pleural cavity. All right, and that's, I think, it for the pleural cavity. Moving down to the abdominal cavity, which is called the peritoneal cavity. Probably the first organ you want to pull is the liver. And again, this is the peritoneal cavity where the abdominal organs are. Anyway, this is the liver, and inside the liver is the gallbladder. So the green, the dark green is the gallbladder. Above the liver, separating the two cavities, the pleural from the peritoneal, is the diaphragm. So this partition right here, it's connective tissue and muscle. The brown would be the muscle. The kind of, again, the pale blue represents connective tissue. So, but that's the diaphragm. Back to the digestive tract, we saw the esophagus, which comes into the stomach. So this is the stomach. On the inside curve of the stomach, as you pull it out, is the pancreas. On the outside curve is the spleen. So this darker green structure here is the spleen. You can see that. And this kind of bumpy structure that's, again, on the inside of the stomach is the pancreas. And the first part of the small intestine, which starts here, where the stomach joins into the small intestine, this would be the duodenum, which is extra credit, but if you want that point, that's the duodenum. Down here, this is the rest of the small intestine. Again, the greenish color. The gray is the large intestine, and I'm going to pull out both of those actually right now. So part of the large intestine and then the small intestine there. You can see a little branch of the small intestine, the very end of the small intestine here. Again, here's the beginning of the small intestine, the duodenum, and it went back and round and back and forth, and then ended up going into the large intestine, which goes up, across, and down. But right where the small intestine joins the large intestine, there's a little out pocket here, and that's the appendix. And again, so and then the rest of this is the large intestine. And we're going to pull that out now, and there's other things we can name, but we're not going to do that now. In the back here, the brown are the kidneys, and above the kidneys are the adrenal glands. The blood vessels going to the kidneys are the renal artery and vein. The renal vein here is really obvious. Again, the huge blood vessel running down the middle is the aorta. You already did the vena cava, but this would be the inferior vena cava. So you can name them up here, you can name them down here. It doesn't matter to me. Going back to the kidneys, the tube coming out of the kidneys running down to the urinary bladder is called the ureter. You can see it on this side probably a little better. It's kind of a tan, pale, peachy color. And then down here is the urinary bladder, this kind of gray round thing. So the excretory system, the kidney, ureter, urinary bladder, and again the yellow up here is the adrenal glands. The aorta comes down and splits into the two common iliac arteries, and then the common iliacs go through the body wall, become the femoral artery, which runs all the way down the leg, or the deep femoral, which goes into the thigh muscle right there. So femoral and deep femoral artery. The two little tiny blood vessels here are the gonadal artery and vein. So the red gonadal artery, the blue gonadal vein, you can just name those together and you're good to go. And I think that's it. Let me look at the list and see if I missed anything. But I'm pretty